Vinny, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me.
I was asking you during the break because we think that the Sasquatch coming out just randomly whenever you're on base at Royals home games, I think it's one of the greatest skits currently going. And you were telling us they didn't tell you that they were going to be doing this, and you saw for the first time when you got on base for the first time last season, right?
Yeah, 2023.
Or 2023.
2023, I walked, and then the first baseman was like, what is that up there? And then I remember looking up, I think there's like a clip of me being like, there it is, of just like, oh my gosh, what is that walking around? So there's some confusion. He comes out every time I get on base. Some people think it's home runs. Or
yeah.
No, he needs to come out more, so I got to get on base.
So good. Yeah.
I want to ask you about, I watched you on a podcast with Eric Hosmer, Moustakis. Mm-hmm. I love chronicling how everybody has a different journey. And dude, like listening to you talk and how passionate you are, like you weren't a can't miss guy. You dealt with your share of injuries, I believe back injuries. Can you kind of just let the world know like kind of your journey to the big leagues? Because it wasn't like top prospect until you had to earn your keep. So I love what you said at the end. You said, I've earned everything I've gotten in this game.
Yeah, and I didn't mean that in like a disrespectful way at all. I just mean that like put in a lot of work, feel like I've earned everything I've gotten. Nothing was really handed to me, at least in my own mind. And yeah, so high school, had some back issues, ended up going to college, went to Old Dominion, loved my experience there, ended up going in the 11th round out of Old Dominion as a junior. Thought I was going to go back for my senior year, but ended up getting drafted in the 11th. So ended up going to pro ball. Thank the Lord, never really dealt with injuries in the minor leagues.
Dominated the minors.
But we did have COVID, so we dealt with that for, a lot bigger issues than baseball going on there.
Yeah.
So, and then was able to get up in 2022 and feel like I'm continually just trying to get better.
Did you always rake, or was it a slow burn? Were you like in Little League hitting, but was it like the Pasquantinos coming to the plate?
I used to hit 9th or 10th, wherever in the order, and teams would shift me the other direction because I couldn't pull the ball. So I had to learn how to pull the ball. Now I'm trying to get back the other way. So teams used to shift me the other way. I was never fast, but I'd lay down a bunt if I needed to, just try to do anything we could.
Were you bigger than all the other guys?
No,
young?
Smaller.
Small, late bloomer?
So I did theater. In 6th grade, I was the Hobbit. I was Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit.
This is awesome.
So I hit a growth spurt like my junior year of high school. Got cut from the basketball team as a freshman in high school because I was too short, But then when I was a senior, they tried to get me to play because I was tall and said no thanks.
Yeah.
Vinny, I know these guys are going to talk hitting with you in just a second, but you mentioned you played college ball in Old Dominion. I believe you're from the state of Virginia.
That's
is
right.
That correct? But you are a die-hard New York Jet fan, and apparently you have an emerging career as an NFL insider. This was a tweet that Vinny sent out in the offseason. Justin Fields to the Jets, sources me, 2 years, $35 million. Okay, going to the cages to start my day. And you beat all the other insiders by hours.
Yeah.
So my question is, how? And then 2, why are you a Jets fan?
Well, first, I'm a Jets fan because Vinnie Testaverde was the quarterback when I was a kid, and that's my name. Never knew anybody with my name before, so that was it. I got to see the Mecca on my way in here.
There it was.
It was right there.
MetLife.
It was right there. So, and that tweet I got a few texts that morning. Just what are your thoughts on Justin Fields? It's hilarious that people were texting me what my nobody like in the building or anything, but just like people who kind of know what's going on. And then I was talking with everybody in the locker room, and Bobby told me to tweet it, so I did. It's like, all right, I'll do it. If I could feel like that before every single game that I play, I'd be in a really good spot. Because that adrenaline rush.
Well, I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of these two former hitters, so I'll be over in the courtyard. You guys talk hitting.
I want to dive in because I came out to camp this year. I went and watched you do flips. Went in the back. He was going through his pregame with Zumwalt, their hitting coach, who's awesome. And you were doing some stuff with your hips that I want to get into. But before we get into like breaking down your swing, talk to me about last year, like the rush to get back for the postseason and what that meant to you. And you obviously weren't 100% getting out there.
Yeah. So obviously in Houston, I fractured, shattered my thumb. Like it basically just snapped. And then we
How
basically
hard
had
was that grind to get back?
We were doing, we have a great training staff with the Royals. Jeff Blum, who's our physical therapist, we were grinding a little bit, doing 2-a-days, going during games, going early, doing whatever we could. We threw a few complete games during the season. That's what I was calling them, because it's like, all right, can I get out to the dugout? Like, no, not yet. At one point, I think we had 89 needles in my hand, which
really,
that wasn't the most fun, as anybody who watched me experience that piece of it. But we made it happen, and we knew what the timetable was, and we did everything we could to make it happen. So
right,
as anybody else would do. So.
Mikey, let's cook here.
Yeah, well, I'm going here.
Let's get to Skybox. Come here so we can take a look at it. We'll go through your homers first. Let's dive in. I want to talk about what you do with runners in scoring position, how you attack lefties, what you're trying to do at the plate. This looks like a little change-up split kind of down that you just walk the dog on. This ball's crushed. 96, middle cut. So I want to get to a side angle of this, and I want you to pause it. What are you trying to accomplish at the plate? What are you thinking about coming from the on-deck circle? What's your pregame like, and what are your keys at the dish?
Well, thankfully for this one, it was a center cut fastball.
Yeah.
It was with 2 strikes, so I wasn't really thinking about a whole lot other than putting a good swing on the ball. I was able to get into my toe tap early. I was able to get on time.
When did you start toe tapping?
Halfway through my junior year of college. I think I was hitting 220 with 3 home runs.
So a coach comes to you?
No.
Because that toe tap changed my career.
No, one of the hitting guy I hit with in the offseason, Hunter Bledsoe, he called me and he said, hey, you're going back to college next year because you kind of suck. So you're going to have to figure it out. And so it was a guy named Matt Birch. Him and I just went to the cage, and I said, it was just a player on the team, like one of my buddies on the team. I said, hey, I'm thinking about toe tapping. Will you feed the machine for me? And then he fed the machine for me. I started toe tapping. We went down to University of Alabama, Birmingham. I hit a few homers.
Pause it.
And that's kind of where the toe tap began.
Vinny, you mentioned
Really?
2 strikes. Do you change anything with 2 strikes?
Yeah, with 2 strikes, I get a tick wider and I choke up.
You're choked up.
So I choke up a little bit to just try to really feel some more barrel, and then I get a little bit wider, and I think I try to start a little bit earlier too, so maybe see a little bit better. And then
Pause this on the tap. Pause. So some of the keys when I finally learned how to hit at 30 years old with the toe tap was, you're tapping to get it to engage your backside, the inside of your back knee. Are you thinking anything hands related? Keep the head still? Do you have a couple keys for you?
I try not to. When I'm going good, it feels like I'm not thinking about anything. There's a few things I like to do. I like my hands and my back hip to be in rhythm. I want those two to be connected, and then as I start making my move forward, I want my body to just fall away from my hands a little bit. I don't want to think too much about my hands. I just want to walk away from my hands. And then when I land, I'd love that back heel to be on the ground when I land, so then it's not a land go, it's a land and then go.
Yeah.
And so we're working on some of those things and just try to get stretched out when I land and put a good swing on it.
All right, we can run this. One of the things you do well, listen, there is something to be said, and we've all played with the mic, the ribby machines.
Yes.
The guys who just have a knack for driving in runs. I played with Aramis Ramirez. I thought he was one of the best at doing it. You find a way to not punch out. When you make contact, it's hard contact, but you have a thing for getting ribbies.
Well, I also have a thing for having the best player in the league in front of me who's on base all the time. So that helps quite a bit. But I just try to simplify a lot when guys are in scoring position.
But Vinny, that can expose you too, because since you have so many opportunities, if you don't come through, kind of the responsibility falls on you. And like what DeRosa says, I think, 2 of the things that you do so elite is you don't swing and miss.
Yeah, bring up
and then,
that board.
yeah, and then when you make
percentage
contact, you hit the ball hard. Is that an approach that evolved with you, or were you always a guy that just had that knack?
I think it just came from hitting with my dad in the cage, of just being like, hey, you should hit the ball every time you swing. And I know that, in more of a new school mindset, you want to take your shots, and I've adopted that mindset a little bit of just, okay, when it's my time to take my shots, but I feel like I'm always better when I'm hitting line drives all around the field, and that comes from slowing some things down, maybe not trying as hard, just kind of letting the pitch come to me and just driving line drives all over the place.
I mean, you take a look at this, Yandy Diaz, Mookie Betts, and Vinnie Pasquantino, they don't punch, they don't whiff much, and when they make contact, they barrel it up.
And they slug. It's not like you're, just slapping singles all around.
I want to take you through 2 at-bats that you had in Cleveland. I'm always fascinated left on left, what guys do. Pause this. Super tight with Brian McCann. He always talked about later in his career, whenever he'd face a tough lefty, he just sat slider.
So that's really funny you bring that up because.
And I know this is a tough matchup.
So I faced Tim Herron, I think 3 or 4 times this year.
You can run
And
this.
every single time I've been sitting slider. But then this pitch, I knew I was going to finally get a slider the next pitch. I was like, all right, finally. I think it was like 8 or 9 fastballs. He hit me once. And then,
Pause this one.
Yeah, when I finally hit that, I pulled that fastball. I was like, yes, he's got to throw the slider now, and he did.
And are you selling out?
Selling
Is it slider or nothing?
That at bat, fully selling out.
Yeah.
So that's how I felt like you got to hit, like especially in today's game. I was doing it back then when guys were throwing 92 to 94.
I think that's your best point, D-Ro, because in today's game, we don't see the fastball. These guys don't see the fastball 60% of the time. You know, you'd get every pitcher was more than 55% heater.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of an intention of, if you're going to guess fastball, you're going to be right more than half of the time. That's not the case. And then some guys got 4 different pitches. I think it makes you almost have to sit, but then, like you said, when it's in your zone, you got to take advantage and be able to spit when it's not.
No doubt.
Yep.
Run this, Clase. I love this. This is what you're talking about. Backdoor cutter at 99. Good night. Spit on this, and then eventually just hit an absolute tracer. That's an unhittable pitch. And that's what we're trying to do.
If I could do that every single time, I would be in the best mood every single time. I mean, like, if I could just do that every time.
Did you know this? Largest increase in bat speed?
Yeah, I did know this.
Concerted effort in the offseason, change your workouts or anything? Swinging heavy bat?
I got stronger in the offseason. There wasn't any concerted effort to just increase the bat speed. I'm trying to figure out if this is a good thing for me or not. Because I've started to swing and miss a little bit more. I've started to chase a little bit more this year. And I'm wondering if I'm trying too hard. So there's a piece of it where it's like, am I over swinging? It's something we're walking through right now of where am I at my best? We've started to look at some bat speed models from the past few years of, okay, where's my honey hole? Because in a vacuum, swinging fast, great.
And is that because you believe sometimes with the increased bat speed, you might be in and out of the zone quick earlier?
Last night, for example, I hit a cutter right here, 108 that way.
Yeah.
Right, that's not doing you any favor.
I don't really want to do that.
Right.
So, yeah, I think there's a piece of it where some of it is, and it was a 2-0 count, so I'm ready to rip, I'm ready to go, and got the pitch that I thought I wanted and hit it foul. So it was one of those things where it's like, well, maybe there's a piece of it where there's too much effort on trying to be too quick, and it might not necessarily be the bat speed itself, but it's the effort of trying to get out front and do some damage as opposed to letting it come to me and doing damage when it gets there.
So much
I
information.
know.
D-Ro.
Don't put too much effort into this next segment. Roflo's going to hit you with some brain buster questions.
Yeah, Vinny, first of all, that is so insightful because it's just another example of the stats not telling the entire story. So really good stuff.